for the next couple of hours. A lot of great high school talk for the first hour, and of course, we have the easy second hour. I'll be joined by my co-host Ron Zetcher, a Hall of Famer, and it should be a lot of fun as well. And first, I want to say hello to man Ryan Swingler at the controls.
How you doing, Earl?
I'm doing fine. I was just see your St. Mary's Dragons doing well at 4-2.
I'm excited. They're doing well.
Doing well.
GSV needs to rank them a little higher, but
okay. We have to talk. I'll get John Huff in there, and
I'll talk to him.
Get to talk to him about that. We're very excited. First, of course, we got a lot of great guests, but also very excited to talk about our new sponsor to the show, the Earl Austin Experience. The show is brought to you by Fast Track Auto Transport. It's St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. That's ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. And we like to thank Mark Ballou, the owner of Fast Track, for his support of the Earl Austin Experience. I think it's apropos because Mark Ballou is a graduate of Lutheran North High School, and it's great timing because our guests today are the football teams and several players from the Lutheran North Crusaders, who just won the Metro League Championship last night in a big game against MICDS, one of their big conference rivals. And we're joined by their head coach, Lorenzo Brinkley. Lorenzo, thank you very much for joining us. How are you this morning?
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
First of all, once again, thank you very much. I know how, you play a tough game on Friday night and you got to get up on Saturday morning. I know it's homecoming too, so really appreciate you making the time to come and join us today. I know you brought some players. I have, as I do it each, when I bring some players in, first introduce your name, what class, where do you in, and what position do you play?
My name is Kyle Robinson. I am class 2028 sophomore, and I play running back and linebacker.
All right, Kyle Robinson, a little talented young player there.
My name is Marcus Johnson. I'm a sophomore, class 2028. I play center and defensive end.
My name is Camille Salon, class of 2026, and I play linebacker and tight end.
All right, so we got some talented players here in the house. First, when we start talking to the players, Coach Brink, tell us a little bit about each player here and what they bring to the table and how they make you successful.
Well, I'll start with Camille. Camille's a senior, goes both ways, probably one of the smartest players that I have in the program. When I was making the transition, Camille was my quarterback, so that'll let you know how versatile and how knowledgeable of a football player he is. Also a great leader as well. So he was major key in, keeping things together, getting the boys together. So the energy's been great. When you got a good pack of seniors, that part helps everything flow pretty well. So he's got a lot of great things ahead of him, and we're gonna just keep it rolling. Marcus is my center, and also he plays defensive end. If you kind of notice, we're playing a lot of young kids, so it's how can I put it? It's on the outside looking in, you can see where we have some extremely talented, skilled guys, but on the inside we have a lot of young guys that are getting some playing experience, and they're learning how to play varsity football. So Marcus has been great. Like I say, he goes both ways. If he can't get the ball to the quarterback, then we're in trouble. So he's been a huge key, and he's a silent leader. Kai here, on the other hand, goes both ways as well. Plays wheel backer next to Camille, and makes a lot of plays. And it's kind of strange, just being over the years playing myself and then coaching. There's kids that make plays, and things just tend to happen around these certain kids, and he creates fumbles. One time, I think we was in the jamboree, they said he dribbled a guy, so, he's got a bright future ahead of him. All of them do extremely well in the classroom. So, it's been great. It's been really a great experience since I've been over there.
Of course, Lutheran North won the Class 4 state championship last year, which all three of the guys were part of the team. You're stepping in as the new coach, replacing Coach Wagner. How has that adjustment been? And you've been part of state championships yourself as an assistant coach. How has that helped you to walking in and taking over a program, knowing its high expectations and they've won championships before?
Well, I think that was probably the easier part for me because it's not that I'm just like, yearning for or salivating over trying to win a championship. I've been in that scenario, since a youngster. So it's not really about that for me. It's just that, when I started making the relationships with the guys, they started really understanding that, it's more about them. And I mean, it's just like I said, it's been a great transition. So I just do things to make sure they're in the forefront. And like, we're doing today, they get the experience of, seeing what this is like.
Of course, Kamel, not a lot of, it's always the dream of every high school athlete, whether the sport is to win that last game and win a state championship. And before we start talking about this year and what you're doing, what was that the experience and the excitement of winning a state championship on being on that field when it happens?
It was crazy. It's like something you would think that'll never happen, but if you sit there and study film, prepare for things like that, and it's gonna happen.
And then we'll talk to the young guys, being a part of it as a freshman. That's something new, a new experience, just trying to get used to varsity football, but to be able to be part of a state championship. First, Marcus, what was that experience like for you?
It was a good experience because I actually started in the state championship.
Right.
It was crazy to me. It was actually surprising.
A freshman center. You were playing center too?
I was playing guard.
Playing guard. As a freshman, obviously you've played a full season. I know coaches say at the end of the season you're not a freshman anymore, you're a sophomore. What was your feeling going into that game as probably one of the youngest players on the field that day against Festus?
I was nervous. I had like bubble guts, but I just played it.
What about you, Akai, there, freshman playing in state championship football?
I'm not gonna lie, it was a great experience, but for some reason, like the second the game started, since we scored first play, like all the nerves just went out the window. And then even on kickoff, like, I don't know, something in my head was just like you got it, because everybody was so turned, in the fans, and how we just shut them up like the first play of the game. And so then I had a little tackle on kickoff. And so I feel like that just turned everything up. And in my head, I was just like just keep going.
Now, Lutheran North, that was their 7th state championship. We'll stay with you, Kai. How did it feel to kind of, there's a lot of tradition in Lutheran North, a lot of state championships in front of you. How did it feel for you, even as in your first year, to kind of add to that, be a part of that championship tradition that Lutheran North has?
It felt great knowing that, there's, I don't know, because being a freshman, you would never expect it to be on a state championship team, coming to your first year, high school football, playing varsity, and having a great team around me and still being able to work hard and get in the game. You'll never expect, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, to be honest. So being on that team is just very special, because a lot of people do not ever get that opportunity in their life.
Marcus, how's it like about being part of a Lutheran North tradition and being able to add to it with a state championship where, a lot of people come to the games expecting it, and here you are as a freshman, as a starter, you help deliver a state championship to part of the tradition.
It felt great being a part of a Lutheran North tradition. Like just like Kai said, it's like a one-in-a-lifetime experience. You will never experience it again. It's just great.
Now you're a junior, now you're a senior. You're same question. You know what Lutheran North is all about, and to be able to win a trophy and have a trophy of your own that a lot of the guys ahead of you shared as well. Now to be able to share that special feeling that the guys ahead of you.
It really felt amazing, because everybody would talk about the 2019 team and how they won state, and it's been a minute since we had one state again. So for everybody to be talking about us felt great.
Did it feel pressure going in? Because like you said, you've had some great teams, but like I say, it had been a minute. Did the guys feel pressure going in, or did you just kind of this is our team, just play your own game?
Now, nobody felt pressure. I think everybody was ready for that game.
Talk about the I guess the game. And last year, Festus, you guys really ran through Festus pretty good, a good football team, but everybody still talks about the Kearney game. You guys had to go there, and Kearney's a team that's obviously won a lot of state championships their own, and a lot of them coming through St. Louis against St. Louis team. That experience going there and beating a great Kearney team to get to the state championship.
I didn't even get to play that game. I was hurt on a sprained ankle. But being there, seeing the guys, everybody warming up with their shirts off and it's snowing outside, I knew the guys was ready.
What was that atmosphere like for you guys? Like I said, young guys, and you're going to a place that just, has dominated over the years on the other side of the state, and to come home with a victory and to get to the state championship game, Marcus?
It was like a little nerve wracking, but then once all the guys started checking out their shirts, started getting me hyped. I was like, might as well just start balling out. I know some great guys that we was going against, so you just had to play great.
Kai, is it kind of is it kind of like an us against the world, like a family? It's a big crowd there, and and you got your little pocket of fans. Does that kind of make you guys closer as a team going in a great road atmosphere like that in the state semifinal?
Absolutely. Because I feel like that year, a lot of people was like wondering what Luther North doing. What's Luther North doing? Are they good this year? And even when we was winning, they still was like, they not that good. They probably finna lose that game. So going out and beating Kearney, I feel like really solidified it. Even though we had already been winning, that really solidified it. And seeing everybody, going out, even when it was snowing, shirts off, warming up and stuff, getting hyped, listening to music, like that feeling is unmatched. And even when at halftime, we came back out and all our fans start showing up because the bus, they all start showing up. They ringing the bells and stuff. They getting loud. It was just amazing.
Now you guys were warming up with shirts off there. Now whose idea was that?
I think it was mine.
Yeah.
Was it really?
One person took it off and everybody else is like,
What made you go ahead and do that? And why did you say this? I need to do this. What made you?
I knew I wasn't able to play, and I was trying to find a way to bring some different type of energy to the team because somebody got to start the energy up for everybody to get ready. So the first thought was to take my shirt off.
Now remember, it was cold the semifinal day. It was cold and snow and field and freezing. So you think it got the job? Then you said who's the next guy after you did it? Who followed? And then after, you remember who followed after?
Was it Carvine?
It was either Carvine or Soul.
It was either Carvine or Soul Du Bois.
I imagine that really got everybody going there. Didn't it?
It wasn't even surprisingly like I guess because like we was like anxious or adrenaline or something, but it didn't seem cold out there.
It didn't.
Coach Brink, like you said, you've been part of championships, obviously not this one, but coming into the job and knowing that these kids have experienced big games, that help in the transition and the preparation, and it's expectations when you're the coach at Lutheran North, certain programs, and Lutheran North is one of those programs, regardless of talent, whatever, folks have expectations.
Well, the like I said, the senior group, they had an expectation already. And a handful of them are college-bound athletes, so they kind of understand the work ethic. And then I got these younger guys that I brought with me. They run after practice, so we run them very hard. Right. So because of the amount of numbers, so we do probably twice as much condition as anybody else does. So then a lot of them just stay afterwards and still work harder. So that permeates through the rest of them. So it's kind of amazing to watch, because like I said, we had the senior heavy group, and then we had like a little separation piece where some kids had gone to some different schools for whatever reasons. But then as the younger ones started to watch Kamel, started watching Mortez Stevenson work out, Jonathan Moore, and Mike Clark, guys like that, they start watching them work out, and then, you start to see it permeate, like I said, through the rest of them. So it's been easy in that regard. So for me personally, all I had to do was just kind of like, interject here and kind of let them do their thing, but, just tweak it where I needed it to be tweaked.
You mentioned 3 great players on that team. Give me a word, and folks out there, a word about those very talented young men who were really instrumental in last year's championship run and doing a great job this year.
Yeah, I guess I'll start with MJ, Martez Stevenson. And I've coached some great running backs over the years, and I'm telling you, the kid is amazing. He pass protects. He can catch the ball out the backfield. And I just kind of kicked myself a little bit last night because I should have ran him even more, But like I said, I got some talented guys, and I want to get them all involved. And, sometimes I get caught in the moment, but, having Martez has been a joy. And then he plays on defense as well. So that alone, just with his work ethic has been huge and a major part of it. So you got to imagine him and adding him with Kamel, and then you add Mike Clark, who's one of the fastest kids in the state, and he plays both ways, plays some receiver / running back. Then he plays corner. He's our kick returner, so as much as the ball gets in their hands, it's fun to watch, so Kamel, Kamel and John O and Mike, we always trying to come up with different ways that they see on film, like I say. So they get involved, they watch the video, we collaborate a little bit because I want them to feel a part of it. But it's been fun. I hate to leave one of the names.
I know. Well, you're an offensive guy, and to have
I'm a black shirt. I'm a black shirt.
Oh, I know, but you were the quarterback at Hazelwood Central.
I was the
quarterback. I know you were a black shirt in Nebraska. I'm not trying
they forced that on me.
Defense, but I know having an experienced quarterback, taking over a new program. Jonathan is a sophomore on a state championship team. That has to really help make the transition a lot easier as well.
His poise is amazing. And then you got to think, being a quarterback, and then you got some freshmen on the O-line, and then you see these big behemoth kids doing twists and all this other crazy stuff. He's still getting the ball out. It's been amazing. So, what he's displaying right now is probably on a higher level than what people can actually see, just because of the elements that he's dealing with. But I'm gonna give you another tidbit, just about that whole transition. He's been dealing with, some growing issues. He's growing pretty fast. So, having some back issues, this, that, and the third, just like any other kid. So over the summertime, he didn't really work out with us. Didn't do much of nothing. And Kamel was the quarterback. So, like I said, I got a bunch of kids that are football guys, so when you got football players and football guys, the culture, just kind of rolls on its own. I don't have to convince them to do anything. They make the expectation high. So it fuels me. So it keeps me going.
Of course, now you're on a 4-game winning streak. Lose the first game at a great Blair Oaks team. Both of you guys were battled 2 state championship teams. Now you got things rolling. And last night, obviously, you win a conference championship against a really good MICDS team, homecoming. You played against one of your former, your friend Matt Irvin. I know you guys coached together, won state championships together. To be able to hold them off, what was that? That was a big win for your kids, wasn't it?
Oh man, it was huge. You just got to think about, we talk about tradition with Lutheran North, but the rivalry between those two schools have been, something, for St. Louis to really appreciate, because that's been going on for decades.
Yes.
And there's been some great teams and great players. Even Sally was on the sideline over there.
Right.
So that was good to see. But like I said, over the years, I guess I've been coaching for so long. Number 6, LJ Triplett, I coached his dad at Beaumont. So, I thought that was crazy. I'm just like, man,
welcome to being old.
Right. Welcome to being old. So
when we talk to the guys first, the win that win a conference championship, people will look at states and everything, but to beat a good team and the feeling of winning that game last night, and especially on homecoming, it's a big game. How exciting was that for you guys last night?
And it was very exciting. after all the preparation we did, because you don't win on game day, you win during the week, studying and stuff like that. So it was very exciting.
You guys were able to, they made a big comeback. You were 21-0, but you guys were able to get 2 big stops at the end of the game. You stopped them on downs, and I think Mike got the interception. Going into their last couple of possessions, when they're coming back, what did you guys talk about as a defensive unit to make sure you held that lead?
We talked about the plays that we thought they would run, and we was correct clearly, but just we talked about the plays that they would run and how we could change up stuff and stop it and put guys in different positions to make plays.
Marcus, you had the plant center. You had MICDS is probably one of the biggest lines going, offensive and defense of line going. How were you able to handle yourself last night? And you guys got out to a big lead, and obviously some good running last night. I know you were a big part of that. Martinez had 150 yards. I know you were a big part of that in the middle.
I just stayed control. It's like when they started coming back, just stay control, told everybody what to do. I made sure everybody got their job done. We just kept blocking.
Yeah, Marcus is kind of like the quarterback of the line,
For a young guy, that's something.
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
amazing for him to be a sophomore, but that just shows his football IQ.
Kai, talk about last night and the performance of your team to just to hold strong when a good team is coming back and everybody's getting nervous. How are you guys kind of holding things together on the sidelines?
I think it was really just about keeping the energy up because we started off hot, and I feel like people tried to, take their foot off the gas, and it was really just about like staying locked in mentally because we knew what their plays was going to be. We knew that we was able to stop it. So it was just mentally being in the right headspace. And even after they went down, they had a little touchdown. It was just about coming back and next play. Don't worry about what happened in the past. Next play and get the job done and get a stop. We got them stops. Mike got the game-winning pick, and everybody just stayed locked in for that last drive. That's all it was about, staying locked in.
Well, Coach Bring, once again, a big victory last night, but then it continues to get tough. You guys go on the road, make a long trip to Maryville High School next week. It should be another good one.
Yeah. It's been, I guess, sort of an underlying rivalry between the two schools because they've been playing over some years. So I expect them guys to be ready. Obviously, we will. So it would be great to get on the road and, have some fellowship and a little camaraderie there.
Well, guys, I really appreciate you joining on the show. Congratulations on the conference championship. I know you guys are going to continue to do a great job. Kai, Kamel, and Marcus, and Coach Lorenzo Brinkley, thank you very much, and good luck to you the rest of the way as well. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, we'll be back and we'll talk some high school football. But once again, this show is brought to you by Fast Track Auto Transport, St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. This is the Earl Austin Experience. We're on the Lou Information Station, or you can listen live on demand at louinfo.com or catch us on YouTube. We'd like to thank Coach Lorenzo Brinkley and the Lutheran North Crusaders for joining me in the studio today. That was a lot of fun. Always enjoy the kiddos when they come in. I like talking to the coaches, but obviously when you cover high school sports almost 40 years from now, I always love to hear from the kiddos. Also, once again, I'd like to thank Mr. Mark Ballou at Fast Track Auto Transport, which has been a trusted leader in vehicle shipping for over 25 years, providing reliable, affordable service across the U.S. Fast Track offers fast and safe transportation solutions for individuals, dealerships, fleets, and businesses of all sizes. The Fast Track team prides itself on honest communication, competitive pricing, and real-time tracking, which gives our customers peace of mind from pickup to delivery. Whether you're shipping a single car or managing a large fleet, Fast Track delivers a smooth, hassle-free experience every time. Come see why Fast Track Auto Transport has been St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs for nearly over 25 years. Trust the way, the safe way, the Fast Track way. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. That's ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. Thank you to our owner, Mark Ballou of Fast Track. Now, I've known Mark for a lot of years through high school sports. Of course, I talked about Mark was a graduate of Lutheran North High School, and he's part of their Hall of Fame. At one time, he was their all-time leading scorer in basketball, and basketball runs through Mark's family as well. I think in the about 25 years ago, Mark had a very talented young daughter, Amy Ballou, was a great player at Parkway South High School. I remember her watching her games throughout her career. She graduated at South's all-time leading scorer. I think the record just got broken this year by a young lady named Ava McCullough, 6'2" girl, was a really good player. Well, Amy was a great player throughout her career at Parkway South, played for my buddy Chris Ellis. And then Mark's grandson now is an excellent player at Vianney High School, Ben Carson. Ben was one of the best three-point shooters in the St. Louis metro area. He's going to have a big year in his senior year for Vianney High School. And his father, Mark's son-in-law, Joe Karsten, was a great player at Lutheran South High School in the early to mid 1990s. He played AAU ball for a buddy of mine, Mike Martin, and the St. Louis Gators. They were a great AAU program. They grew up, went to national tournaments, Final Fours. Of course, his teammate, he had a young man named Ryan Robertson, who was a McDonald's All-American at St. Charles West. Matt Fitzsimmons was a great player from Althoff, went to SMU. Josh Holtz played at St. Francis Borgia on a couple of state championship teams as well. And of course, Joel. So that was a heck of a basketball team coached by my buddy Mike Martin. So once again, Fast Track Auto Transport, Mark Booth, thank you for their support there.
Yeah, shout out to Vianney. Even though they knocked out my team last year in districts, I've been hooping with a lot of some of the Vianney guys that come to my gym that I also work at, and they'll just show up and they'll play. And Vianney has a nice little core that people don't really know about. All those guys can dribble, all those guys can shoot. There's no liability on the floor with them, and I like what they're doing over there.
Yeah, I think Ben will be the main guy. They have a young man named Chase Duke, who's about 6'2", 6'3". They play at the forward, and then they got a young man. If he continues to develop, he's going to be a star. I think he's still young. Named Mamadou Berry. He's about 7 feet 1.
Oh wow!
From Mali, I believe.
Yeah, I've heard about him.
He's a freshman last year. He's starting to come into his own as well. And they got a good sophomore. Brock Long is his name.
Yeah,
good sophomore ball player.
Yeah, they got a lot of guys. They got this other guy. I got to get his name, but I know where he be hooping at and stuff. And he didn't get that much time last year, but he's a nice silky lefty. I got to get his name, but he's nice. Right, he's a nice lefty.
Kevin Walsh is one of the best coaches in the St. Louis area, so it's going to be a new look because obviously Luke Walsh's son was such a dynamic three-point shooter, and a dynamic player. Went to the Final Four a couple of years ago, and he's now at SIU. So still, Vianney team that be a group that'll look for different places, and like you say, this is an opportunity for a lot of a lot of young guys to step up.
Yeah, and they're ready. A lot of the guys are telling me they're like, they love playing with Luke, but now they're ready to show like, yeah, we can do this. We can do this as well. So it's like they're really excited.
It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, looking forward to high school basketball. Obviously, it's about a month or so away from official practice, and when November comes, late November, we'll be talking hoops, no doubt about it. Excuse me, folks. I'm just getting over this cold, but now we're going to talk about some more high school football. Obviously, one of the big games was Lutheran North defeating MICDS last night for the Metro League Championship. But we still have a nice group of undefeated teams after we just concluding our 6th week. We'll conclude it today with a few Saturday games, but there's a group of teams that are still 6-0 on the season, and one of them is CBC, and they went to Georgia last night to play Robin Nakuchi. I don't know how you pronounce the name. But they were a pretty good team. And I was looking at it was one of the 69-59 was the score of the game. It was an incredible game, back and forth. They were like 8-9, maybe 10 lead changes.
Oh,
I mean, they were just going back and forth. And this is a tremendous win for CBC. I mean, we know what they do in St. Louis, but to go down south in Georgia to beat a good football team. Exactly. Nick McClellan, the young two-way performer quarterback, he's headed to Kansas. They had just a monstrous performance.
Yeah, and I was calling while I was doing the East St. Louis game. I was looking at the scores, and I was like, this is the game that will really dictate if CBC deserves that number 1 that they've been giving. And they went out of town, they handled business, and now I'm like, I can see it.
Yeah.
You know,
Nick McClellan had 345 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. He ran for 2, had 2 interceptions on defense. Vic Williams, who's had a tremendous year running the football, he had 140 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Jaden Reed had 167 yards receiving and a touchdown. So CBC is now 6-0, and St. Louis U High, who we had in the studio a couple of weeks ago, they are 6-0 as well. They defeated Vianney 44-0 in Metro Catholic Conference play. Jordan Taylor and Jalon Grace, both of them went over 150 yards last night. So they're 6-0. So each of them have another game. And then October 17th,
that's the big
Friday.
Game.
That's the big showdown for the MCC title and probably the number 1 seed in the district because they're all in the same Class 6 district. And I believe St. Louis U High is hosting that game this year. So that should be a lot of fun. Over in St. Charles, Orchard Farm is having a nice season. They're 6-0. They defeated Winfield last night. That score was 53-7. In Jefferson County, Festus, a team which played Lutheran North for the state championship last year in Class 4, they defeated North County of Bonne Terre. That score was 46-41. Festus now 6-1. They won their big rivalry game last week against Hillsborough. Now next week, Festus will come over to come north to play at the Smet at the Palace on Ballas next week. So got to give them credit. Last year, the Smet went down there. Well, a state championship team and went down there and played Festus down there. That's a game they wanted to play, stepping up the competition. So you got to like that for Festus. Lafayette, a team that's 6-0, they'll try to go, or 5-0, they'll try to go 6-0 today. They visit McClure this afternoon at 1:00. Lancers having a great season. Rockwood Good School District playing some good football.
They are. Like, I think it was like a little trinket that I heard that Lafayette has barely been scored on the whole year or something like that, right?
Yeah, they're strong. They're strong both ways. They were in the semifinals last year. They defeated Cardinal Ritter, upset them in the Class 5 quarterfinals, and having a great season, new coach and everything. A couple other teams that continued their undefeated seasons. Jennings High School defeated Duchesne. That score was 66-7. Gateway STEM having a great year. They defeated Lutheran St. Charles 33-6 last year. Gateway STEM, the Jaguars, were undefeated in the regular season and finished 11-1. They got all the way to the state quarterfinals in Class 4. I believe Festus beat them, eliminated them for the playoffs, but having another great season, Gateway STEM. So the group, we're going to try to get them on the show sometime as well. And Parkway West High School, undefeated 34-21 over Lindbergh, and Brett Ottensmeyer, a very talented quarterback, threw for 244 and threw 3 touchdown passes as well. So the weeks are dwindling down, but we still got some teams with perfect records as well. So congratulations to them as well. Now, a game, of course, we had last night on the Lou Information Station 590, East St. Louis defeated Edwardsville.
Do you want me to give you a rundown on that game?
Yeah, I'll give you a few tidbits. 54-0. The Flyers really. The last three games, I think the score is 181
to 0. So, no, 6.
Who scored? Alton. Belleville West scored?
No, Alton had a touchdown first play of the game.
Alton scored first.
Yeah.
Okay, so they actually trailed that game.
Yeah, they trailed for 45 seconds. Yeah. But yeah.
So nice. So East St. Louis, after a couple of tough road losses against national competition, coming home and flexing its muscle. I believe they've won 50 of their last 51 games in Southwestern Conference play as well. Of course, Maurice Scott and company doing a heck of a job on the call of East St. Louis Flyers football right here on 590. And of course, Moran Ryan working the boards too as well. Also do a good job of keeping the score, doing the scoreboards update during the game. I really enjoy that when I to the game.
Yeah, trying to get better at it. But I'm kind of mad at East Side because I had them to get at least 60 and they got 54. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of mad. They got to tighten it up a little bit more, got to have more. You got to beat them by 60 or more, man.
Well, we got several teams that are 5-1 on the season too as well. Parkway North defeated Parkway South. That score was 51-10. Parkway North quietly having a nice season at 5-1. Last week they knocked off Hazelwood East in a very thrilling overtime game by they went for a 2-point conversion on a double reverse, I believe, and got the win on that play by 1 point. Another team that's looking good, Troy, defeated Francis Howell 43-27. The Troy is now 5-1. Ladue High School is looking strong. They've lost their opening game to Troy, but now they're on a 5-game winning streak. They defeated Parkway Central 51-0. And we talked about the Rockwood School District having strong football with Lafayette. Well, two good teams played last night. Eureka defeated Rockwood Summit 28-7. So Eureka knocked Rockwood Summit out of the ranks of the unbeaten. And they're both 5-1. Eureka was knocked from the unbeaten ranks last week by a good Kirkwood team as well. Live for Life now 4-2. We had them in the studio. They defeated Murfreesboro 46-34 as well. St. Mary's, your alma mater, we talked about it. They
go Dragons.
Rolla by 42-21. So the Dragons 4-2. As well. So the Dragons kind of on the move here.
Yeah, they're on the rise.
Fort Zumwalt South defeated North Point, a team which I had a chance to watch, an exciting team. And that was an exciting game. I actually caught the last few minutes of that game. It was 29-28, handing North Point its first loss of the season. Now, North Point actually scored with about a minute to go to make it 29-28. And Fort Zumwalt South blocked the extra point. But then North Point got the onside kick and recovered it and had the ball right around Zumwalt South's 35-40 yard line. And they threw the ball downfield a couple of times, and Zumwalt South actually got the interception with about 42 seconds left, and then they just ran out the clock from there. So like I said, North Point plays exciting football. They keep it exciting. Each game is just one big play, and they go, and you're not cheated in the excitement for those things. So that's kind of a look at what's going on with high school football as well. Like I said, we're after this, we just got 3 weeks of regular season football left. We're in October now, so we got about 3 more weeks, and then we're playing district playoffs. Mm-hmm. We're in district action, so it just shows how this baby just kind of flies by. It's no
literally.
joke.
That's the best time of St. Louis, like metro sports in the winter to me, because basketball is just now starting, and then you get all like the state games of football, district and stuff. It's going to be a fun time in St. Louis.
Right.
Sure.
Well, like you said, I didn't get a chance. I was just kind of recuperating from my cold. So I did what I like to do. I'll have my laptop and I'll have my iPad on a couple of football games. And like I said, I was watching Lutheran North and my CDS. I was kind of checking in on CBC and their trip from Georgia. But on the big screen, and I was watching game one of the WNBA championship game between the Las Vegas Aces and the Phoenix Mercury. And that was quite a game.
Yeah, I love Aja Wilson.
Yeah.
She's such a good.
And it was funny because it really wasn't a dominant scoring Aja Wilson game, but it was a 21-10.
It's a calm game for her.
3 or 4 block, but then her defensive,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Even when she doesn't bust off for 30, like she kind of slowed Alyssa Thomas down, offensive terms of scoring. Now, Alyssa's going to get her assist. She's going to orchestrate, but Asia's just such a force on the defensive end. And it was the guards that really got things going for them.
Yeah.
It was I call it the Dana Evans
Yeah.
game. She came off the bench,
21.
Jewel, Lloyd had she's kind of been up and down all season.
Mhm.
Actually went to the bench, which kind of started their run. But she looked like the Jewel Lloyd of old. Coming off the bench, she had like 17, 18 at halftime.
Yeah,
She couldn't
18.
miss. She couldn't miss. So, but I think once again with Phoenix, it to me, and she's one of my favorite players. It comes down to Satu Sabally. When she's going, they're at another level that I don't know if anybody can beat them. Now, she was in foul trouble last night and really struggled a little bit. She hit some shots, but she didn't get a chance to play as much. And I just said it's because Copper was on fire first half. And AT is going to do what she does. AT, and I mean that's a dominant big three. And even Bonner hit some threes off the bench, but it's Satu to me is always going to be that X factor as well.
With Thomas nearly having a triple double and then Cooper dropping 21, I would have expected them to win. But like you said, Satu being in foul trouble, it just mean other people had to step up. But I got the Aces. Like I've had the Aces all year. It was either the Aces or the Lynx for me anyway. So
yeah, I mean they showed some DNA because I think Phoenix led most of that game.
Yeah,
the majority of that game, and the Aces would pull ahead, but it just showed some championship DNA. Now the difference this year is that it's a 7-game series. And instead of 5, the semis were 5, and those were some tough 5-game series that they had to play, especially the Aces, going to full 5 and then overtime. I mean, and so it's going to be interesting. And I think one thing that the Mercury is that they've already knocked off the 2 championship finalists from last year in New York and Minnesota. Now you're going against a team that's kind of the mini dynasty, so it would be a heck of a run if you were to get by this Aces team. And obviously, in the WNBA, our girl Nafisa really kicked up some dust yesterday when she made her statement at her exit interview and just basically just said, hey, when she just kind of put Kamish on blast. And I think what it just shows is that I think this league is ready to bust and go to another level. And it really is. I mean, they're adding teams. The veteran superstars are performing. Now the young superstars like CC, Angel, Paige, and I always say Juju, even though she's not there yet. These are the ones, led by CC with her appeal to everybody. It's just pushing everything. Everything is, and it's almost like, hey, if you're in the way, you got,
get out.
You either get out, you're going to get run over. This
exactly.
thing is
I love it.
Is really pushing. And the thing is, she's measured in her tone and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the collective bargaining agreement and everything. Like I said, I'm not a business guy. I don't know all the numbers and everything. All I know is I see a league growing, and I see a league really itching to just get to that next level. It's so it's been fun to see. Like I said, I saw this happen. When I was in high school. It's the same scenario with Magic and Bird.
I was just gonna say that.
Because I would, I'm an NBA baby. Obviously, my uncle played with the Bullets, West Unseld. So the league was great in the 70s. It was great players, but at that time, remember, there was a time where the games, you couldn't get the championship games on live TV. They were on tape delay at the finals.
Yeah, see, that's wild.
People
to
don't
me.
realize because people there were the sponsorship dollars. People weren't getting with it was the people. League had a real race problem. People thought it was too black. They had a drug
Facts.
problem. It was just a lot
Facts.
going on. And then it started in '79 with that Magic Bird championship game, and then they bought it to the next level, and then it just exploded. And then the NBA became the it thing. And then 4 years later, MJ hits the scene, and that's and they went through those same growing pains that the WNBA is going through now. The physical play and all that stuff. It's the same stuff that you're seeing now.
Literally, that's how I feel about it, and not like on a talent wise or a play style at all. But I see Larry Bird, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, like Magic, but the social media is just making it like a speed run. And then Juju's I'm so high on Juju. She's going to be the one.
Yeah,
we know she's going to be the one.
Yeah, and then you got this young lady from France.
That's dunking and doing all that.
So you're going to see some influx of great players internationally as well. So I think great things are in store. So that wraps up our first hour of the Earl Austin Experience. Once again, this show is brought to you by Fast Track Auto Transport, St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. In our next hour, of course, we will have the easy second hour. I'll be joined by Hall of Famer Ron Zetcher. This is the Earl Austin Experience on the Lou Information Station, or listen live on demand at louinfo.com. expierience.com or call 636-677-9004. Of course, it's hour 2. That means it's the easy second hour. And of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Ron Zetcher, Hall of Famer in the house as well. Ron, how are you this morning?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm doing great.
Well, we've got
another great guest. You bring him every week.
Well, he's a great guest and he's a great guy and absolutely a phenomenal baseball coach, among other things. He was a college basketball official. We could talk about that. I don't know how good he was. We could kind of we'll evaluate that as the program goes on. Earl.
Always evaluating.
Yeah. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, good morning, Ron. Good morning, Earl.
Good
Thanks
morning
for having me.
Well, Steve McColorad was not only a great coach at St. Louis U High, and absolutely, Ron.
39 years. How many wins? What's the number?
I think it's near 650.
650 wins. But the best, I think the best thing that you could say about Steve McColorad that he was a teaching coach. He, I think that he wanted to teach the kids first and then win a baseball game. That's fine. But you want to teach them to play the game the right way, Steve. And you're doing that right now, too, with that organization you're with.
That's right. That's right. I enjoyed it. At St. Louis U High, I was blessed to have some wonderful kids, some very smart kids. And it was really fun to be able to teach them the game. And they forced me to learn more about the game as I was coaching. And I really had a blast doing it for 39 years.
Well, I want to remind you of one of your first coaching experiences when you were a young guy. And we had a heck of a staff. I had a little baseball camp, if you remember.
I do.
Down at the Creve Coeur fields at the time, not the beautiful fields they have now. And you were there. And let me just think about some of the guys we had on that staff. We had a guy by the name of Wilkerson.
That's right, Scotty.
Scott Wilkerson became a pretty good official and did a lot of great things. Let's see. And Silvestri,
yep,
he was down there on that staff. Bobby Bunton was on that. These were all young guys. So see, Earl, I was a great evaluator of athletes and coaches, even at my young, foolish age.
We had a lot of fun down
That's
there.
quite a group there.
Didn't we have fun down there?
We did.
I think Bunton brought a brother, Timmy came down there and helped us some too. And then we had those, what was that kid who used to chase all the balls for us? You know who I'm talking about. He was a great kid.
Yes.
He come down there. He wanted to come. Can I do anything? I said, yeah. Anytime the ball goes back towards the creek or something, go get him and bring it to us. But Nick, so Steve started officiating at a young age and had some great success, Earl. Some very, very, really good success. He, what the heck can you say? He's a storied baseball coach, but he refereed Division I baseball and Division I basketball. And I had a game with him down at Missouri University. And he really showed me something, and it probably hurt his career because of the way things were in those days. In those days, the coaches really did have a lot of say-so as to who stuck around and who didn't. Finally, that's over. But, boy, it wasn't that way in those days. You want to talk a little bit about that game, Nick?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting backstory to that game. It was Nebraska was playing at Missouri. And one of my coaching mates at St. Louis U High was a guy named Joe Mimos, a great, great basketball coach. Well, Joe went to Marquette, and one of his, I guess, teammates at Marquette was Danny Nee, the coach at Nebraska. So on Wednesday or Thursday of that week, Joe asked me where I was going. I said, I'm going to Mizzou to work Nebraska. And he says, great. He says, I'll come down. I'll call Nee and tell him that I'm coming down to get a few tickets. Well, but I didn't know that he told Danny Nee that I was going down. And he also told Danny Nee that two other guys from St. Louis were coming down. So the first thing Nee says when we go out to say hi, that shakes all of our hands. And he says, it's really hard to win at Missouri, but it's going to be really hard to win with three guys from St. Louis on the game. That was the first thing he said. And sure enough, that played out because during the game, he started to rag a little bit, some of the calls, and he kind of was giving Billy Westbrook a hard time and me. He let you alone. And finally, I went by him. I said, Coach, I said, I've had enough. We're not going to have any more. And I went by again, and he gave me a little bit more, and I called a technical foul. And in the old days, we had a coaching box. And if you left that coaching box, it was automatic. And you also had 3 technical fouls then. He followed me out of the coaching box, and I had to stick him again. And then I did what I needed to do. I got away, so I didn't force the issue. But he had 2 quick technical fouls, and I was primed for the 3rd, but we never had to use it.
And then he probably had a vote at the end of the year when they all got together. But you were a very good official. And we had a game, Earl, a baseball game in a Missouri Valley tournament. And that game was at Wichita State, and a guy named Stevenson who played for Missouri, and he was a really good college baseball coach, but he was not the kind of guy, quite frankly, I'll be very blunt, I would not want my son to go down there and play for him. Well, I'm on second base. I'm the second base umpire because, see, I'm the crew chief, and I'm not going – I'm going to have the best time I can have. I'll be at second base all day. I got Nicola that's behind the plate, and Earl – Stevenson starts ragging him. He looks like he's about 15 years old at the time, and he's just. And there's a kid on second base, a Wichita State kid, and I tell this Wichita State kid, I said, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I said, your coach thinks that he's messing around with some young guy there, but your coach could have a problem in a minute. And as I said that, he ejected him. He was gone. Nick?
Yeah, he was giving me kind of a hard time, and I walked over to I looked over at the dugout, and I kind of put up my hand, and then he did something else when I put up the hand, and that was it.
Yeah. And
he came out and he told me that he had been all over the country, and he had never been thrown out. I said, well, you're in Terre Haute today, and you're done. You're gone.
This was a bad time for you to get your first one, buddy. They had good teams too, they did. And that's when they're
Wichita was always World Series good, weren't they?
Well,
that's very good.
That's when they got in a whole lot of trouble that year when they had their. Remember, they had the kid throw at a kid in the on deck circle, almost killed the kid.
That's right.
And boy, that was it for me. I mean, I thought, you know what, I've seen a lot, but in sports. I've seen a lot of bad things, but then nothing like that. Have you ever seen anything like that, Steve?
No, and I read about that. And of course, when you read about it, you don't get all the facts, but for a kid to be instructed to throw at a kid in the on deck circle because he's a little too close, there are better ways for coaches to handle things than that. And,
absolutely.
I would never ask one of our kids to do anything like that.
I got a good lesson from my baseball coach at Washington U, Earl Butts. I was in a tournament, and I was on the mound, and they were giving me a whole bunch of baloney, and I mean it bad. And at the end of the inning, I kind of said something to a couple of kids in their dugout, and I walked in, and Utz was just awesome. He just said, come here. Can I give you some advice? I said, yes, sir. He says, don't ever respond if you're on the pitcher's mound. I said, you got something to respond with. It's in your hand.
Great advice.
Great advice. That was it.
That's it.
So, Steve, let's talk a little bit about that St. Louis University program of yours. How did you start it, and how did it become so doggone successful?
So I got the job by accident, actually. I was at Hillsborough, and I got a chance to come to St. Louis U High, and I was going to coach the sophomore team and coach the freshman football. And in the interlude, after I signed my contract, the guy that was going to come, Tommy Fiala from Shawnee, decided to stay down. And they called me and they said, would you take the program? And I said, yeah, I'll take the program. And the first thing I realized when I was there is I had really smart kids. That was the first thing. And the second thing was that they were very humble kids. We have an academic admissions criteria that you have to meet to get in there. Not anybody can go there. So I was working with kids that maybe weren't great athletes. Some of them were, but most of them were just hardworking kids and humble guys. So we began to do things like bunting and good base running, and we worked real hard on our defense. And of course, I was a pitcher, so I always wanted the game started with pitching. So I built the program around pitching, defense, base running, and bunting. At that time, we didn't even have a batting cage. We practiced in the middle of Forest Park on a soccer field for my first 15 years there.
I remember that.
And it was great. And the kids were humble. They were working hard. And I like to say in the 80s, we had a good program in the 80s. We won 3 district championships. We competed very well, but I like to say that we hung around long enough for the other team to lose. And as time got on, and I got a little bit better coaching hitting, we began to put more things together, and we became more of a complete program. But one of the things that I used to always like to do is I always found my best freshmen, and I would bring up my freshmen with me. I have 3, 4, 5, 6 freshmen with me out of 25 guys, and I would tell them, say, hey, you're not going to play. What you are going to do is you're going to practice hard. You're going to practice with older kids. The game's going to speed up on you. You're going to learn how to handle defensive plays. Then you're going to go to your summer teams and you're going to use what I've taught you. You're going to come back as a sophomore. You're going to be ready to play. Where if I would have let them play in the B team level and play, they're playing a game that's much slower, that's much different, that's not as advanced as the varsity. I would have had to use their sophomore year to teach them. So that actually right there kept the continuity of the program moving from year to year. And I think that was really one of the reasons why we were so consistent. I mean, if you look back, we were never here and then here. We were always pretty good for a long period of time.
Let me ask you about that. How much buy-in did you have to have? Not maybe from the kids because they're young, but from parents, because today that would be hard to do, especially if they're very talented young kids and everything. So I imagine that takes a lot of buy-in to do that year after year.
So at SLU, again, I was so lucky to have the kind of kid that maybe wasn't the greatest player for their summer team, but they were a role player, and they came to our place and they were part of something that was bigger than them. They were easy to buy into. Their parents, it was the 80s and 90s. It was a different culture.
It's definitely old school.
A different culture, and our parents at SLU were wonderful. And I had good coaches that kind of helped out. They kept on the lower level, Bolte, guys like that, Matt Shudo, Steve Missy, Tom Zinselmeyer, Kevin Parrish. These are guys that were loyal to the program. They believed in the program, and they encouraged all the things that the program needed for us to be successful. I think it'd be way harder today to do that because the culture is different. Today people think that the game is for their kid. And the problem with that is that at some point in time, the kid has to learn to produce, and the game really isn't about metrics. It's about team. It's always been about team. It's that way now. In Major League Baseball, we were talking about before we started the show, October is fun to watch because it's about team. But before October starts, it's about stats and it's about metrics, and it's guys don't want to bunt, and managers don't want to ask their players to do certain things. But at the end of the season, it becomes much different.
It's weird because I think at one of the games, I think it was the Tigers. They said one of the teams dropped 2 sacrifice bunts and moved and got run. They said they sacrificed 5 times all season.
That's right.
And they did it twice in the game.
But you notice people watch the game in October, don't they?
I literally said, I do not watch because I'm busy following basketball. There's so many things, but I really do not get a chance to sit down and watch a 9-inning game. That would be different if the Cardinals were rolling. I'm into it, but they haven't been. But once October hits, I'm getting over a little cold. So I had a lot of time sitting at home. I watched all 12 of those games glued to the TV. I haven't watched baseball. I mean, I don't know a lot of names, but they just start coming back to me. But just glued to every pitch because, like I say, every pitch is just.
The people are standing, rooting for every pitch. The game itself is a great game, and it's a fast game. If you think about it, from the time the guy throws the ball, it's hit. There's a lot of guys doing a lot of different things, and people don't appreciate that. I love the game. I love how the game is played in October. I love how the college coaches play the game. I love how good high school coaches play the game. But unfortunately, the kids today are growing up. It's not their fault. It's not their parents' fault. It's not the club coach's fault. It's just our culture seems to want to perpetuate individuality and metrics and what can the team do to push a kid. And I always coach, what can you do to make our team better?
I couldn't agree with you more. I would say, Steve, I'm going to tell you this, and I hate to pay you a compliment, but I'm going to because, anyway, I would say in my lifetime here, knowing baseball, high school baseball, I would say that Ray Elliott, who was a storied coach at Beaumont.
That's right.
Lee Ingert, Bob Swift, and you. It's my top 4.
That's huge praise, and I don't belong in that, but I will tell you this. Thank you for saying that.
There's others who are darn good. And maybe if I sat around here and thought for a while, maybe I could come up with another 2, 3, 4 names. I love my buddy over at Ladue. He did the most he could with the kind of talent he had there, Jim Wolf.
Great
man. And he did as much as he could with the talent. They weren't going to get the kind of kids than a lot of these other programs had. Lee Ingert, the kids he had at Chaminade and at Rittner, they're pretty good. You're going to have success, but you got to coach them.
Got to coach them.
What do you say about the guys you coach against, Nick?
I was lucky. I coached against, I've coached against Greg Vitello.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yes.
Scotty Brown. Those are the two guys I've coached most against. I've coached against guys like Tony Perkins. And I was blessed to be around guys that forced me to coach up. They made me better coaches. And I got a chance to watch Scott when he started and grow, and he does a great job. And of course,
Yes.
Greg was my old teacher at DeSmet, and I got a chance to watch him change as a baseball coach over time. And Greg just did a great job with that program for, I think he was the head coach for almost 35 years.
Yeah.
Great job.
Did you ever see him leave the Smith game early?
I did. Matter of fact, you were on the game that day, and I remember I was at the first base dugout, and you made a call. I have no idea what
The play at
call
the
was.
plate, I think.
Okay, and Gray came out, and he was arguing with you, kind of a little bit like Earl Weaver and Haller, except the language wasn't like that. And at the end of that, he genuflected, and you threw him out. He genuflected for you, and you threw him out. And of course, he left early. But that was a very comical moment.
He's what a guy.
He is a great guy.
A great guy, and what a soccer coach.
Yep. Yeah, and he certainly should. And I know he is. He's very proud of his son. He's doing a wonderful job at Tennessee.
You know, there was an article the other day, and all this stuff comes up on the internet that they were thinking about him maybe replacing Bob Melvin, his son.
Yes,
How
it
would
is.
that be? Would that be unbelievable?
That'd be fantastic.
Wouldn't
That'd
it?
be awesome.
Vitale would be moving.
First goal.
So, Steve, we talked about this on the program when Vitale was here. I saw the clip of the NCAA championship game that they won.
Mhm.
And it came on the TV, and I'm seeing it, and I see a guy running like a crazy man all over the field. I said, Vitale's, what's he doing down there? I said, oh, it's his son.
Yeah. You know, it's
Just-
funny. That's exactly what I thought. I said that was maybe how Greg was in his early years of coaching. He was an intense guy, man. He was an intense,
Oh.
and he put his whole heart into everything he did.
Yes, he did. You played for him.
Actually, I didn't have to play for him because George Hasser was my coach at Smet. Greg was he was still doing track when I was there, but it wasn't long after. I think 2 years after I got the job at St. Louis U High, he was already the head coach at Smet.
And I just want to make a quick, I didn't say anything about him last time when Greg was in here. Hasser, what a great guy. And his dad was a scout. His dad scouted me when I was in high school, so I got to know his father pretty well. What a great family. What do you think, Steve?
George was a wonderful guy, good coach for me, great coach for me at Smet, taught me how to treat the kids, taught me about baseball, but also taught me the other side of the coaching. He was great, and he was from the same part of town that I was. And I didn't know this, but his dad was a wonderful coach at St. Louis U High. He was a very successful coach at St. Louis U High. And I happened to also go to school with his sister, Betty, back at Epiphany. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about Hannah?
Oh, another
Icon.
at SLU. And I still remember it. I had just got back I was a sophomore in college, and I was just starting to officiate high school. And they called me at DeBerg and said, would you come over and work the DeBerg tournament? And Emmett was coaching. And I remember they weren't very good that year. And Emmett at halftime, he came up and he said, he says, we're not very good, but either are you. And that's how Emmett was, though. He told you what he thought.
Steve, Emmett Hannick was good friends with a couple of those guys who he ran around with after they had retired. One of them was Bobby McCormick's dad. And I was refereeing an NCAA tournament in Michigan. And I'm in the coffee shop the day before, and there's a group behind me. I can't see them in a booth. And they start saying, how in the hell is that guy working an NCAA tournament? Are you kidding me? And they're going on and on with each other. He couldn't referee a high school game. Emmett and all his buddies. They had come up there to watch it.
Hey, Emmett really was a fine basketball coach, outstanding, but he was a great physics teacher.
Smart.
For many years
Ooh.
at St. Louis U High, and really has left a lasting legacy there.
Well, tell us about what you teach over there, Steve. You're a computer guy. I mean, big time.
Yeah, I teach computer science. This semester, I teach Python, C++, Java. I teach what we call advanced topics, and I teach AI. So I've had a lot of fun.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I'm not quite in that category. I teach. Yesterday, it was second graders over at Spady School as a sub teacher, and I was the smartest guy in the room yesterday, Nicole. Right?
Those are the most important places, though, right there.
Well,
But yeah, my question is because my friend actually graduated from SLU High and goes to SLU right now, and he majors in I think cybersecurity. Do you know the name Ari Scruggs?
I do.
Yes, that's one of my best buddies. I was just with him last 2 nights ago.
Well, you make sure you tell him that Coach Steve said hi, and I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, he literally graduates in a few months. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Tell him congrats.
Yeah.
I know a lot of successful coaches I talked to over the years at the high school level. Like I said, they're teachers. And do you see the baseball field as a extension of the classroom and you're teaching kids? I know a lot of coaches say that's another extension of it. That's like 7th hour, 8th hour. So the basketball, the football.
I used to think that, and I would tell the kids, even now in the classroom, I say, hey, I like computers and I love baseball, but the most important thing I ever did at St. Louis U High has nothing to do with computers and has nothing to do with baseball. I'm just a guy that's kind of hanging around with kids that are in sometimes great times, sometimes troubling times. And I'm just another resource for them to get from where they are to maybe a little bit better place.
That's what it's all about. I went to Ladou's homecoming last night, Earl, and I've been to a lot of high school games. I've never seen a crowd like they had there last night. And they played Parkway Central. And I want to make a statement here about sports. Parkway Central is really, really down. One of my grandsons is a first-year assistant coach there, and he's kind of down. And I told him, I said, those kids from Parkway Central who go out every single day and just butt heads at practice and come out there and get their butts kicked, take your hats off to them. It takes a heck of a kid to do that. It's a lot easier to go to practice every day when you're winning.
That's right.
It's a good kid who goes every day and sticks it out and toughens it up. And they're all young. They're young kids over there. And I tell my grandson, look, talk to them, encourage them. Just tell them that the thing they need to do every week, if you're not going to win a football game, you're not going to beat Ladue, but be better than you were the week before.
Isn't it? Because guys that have been in the game for many, many years. When you talk to a young coach, and I tell young guys, when you have opportunity, when you see you have you always look at it as a great opportunity when you get a chance to have a group of young kids in front of you. That's an opportunity each time to whether shape, mold, teach, mentor, whether in any sport. It's just a great opportunity, especially as a young coach that they may not realize it at the time what they're doing, but as we get older and you really know what it's all about. But that's why I try to tell younger guys and young women the same way when they get that opportunity to coach or mentor or teach.
You learn a lot more about life when things are difficult than you do when things are going great for you.
No question about it.
You don't want to miss those opportunities as good coaches.
And I heard something years ago, and I've never forgotten it. I don't know how many football games were played last night throughout the country. Let's just say there were 2,500. Well, there were 1,250 winners and 1,250 losers. That's just the way it is. And sometimes you become a better coach and a better kid if you learn what it's like to lose and build on it.
All right, before we go, we're going to take our first time out of the show here. It's the easy second hour. We're about a half hour away from Illinois and Purdue football. We'll be right back. We're on the Earl Austin Experience on the Lou Information Station and live on demand at louinfo.com.
Hot Take Central 2.0.
Now, as you sports fans know,
it's really getting out
And you can listen live on demand at luinfo.com. Of course, we're on YouTube as well. We're talking it over with Steve Nicolarette. A lot of good stuff, not only off the air as well, but
Steve, tell us about your program.
So Ron, a few years ago, Tom Zinzemeyer and myself, we started a program called Coach Baseball Right, and we provide resources to organizations around the country to do a couple different things. Number one, to introduce kids to the game differently than a traditional T-ball. Number two, to provide coaching resources for coaches, practice templates, drills that actually allows the kids to teach the game or allow the coaches to teach the game to the kids. And thirdly, we provide resources for organizations to self-evaluate and improve. And right now we are in the middle of we're working with Major League Baseball to bring this to their RBI affiliates. We had a call the other day with over 100 RBI affiliates around the country to introduce them to the program. And in the last week, we've met with 10 to 12 individually to see if we can get them on board and really make a difference in introducing not only the kids, but the parents to baseball.
Steve, if you were starting right now as a young parent and you had a son who wanted to play, how would you start a young boy or girl? How would you start them off? Would you start them off with throwing, catching, hitting? How would you start them? I would say like an 8 or 9 year old kid.
Yeah. So, first of all, the most important thing I can tell a parent now is fun. Fun. Don't get too technical. Let him have fun. If he wants to throw more than he hits, let him throw. If he wants to hit more than he throws, let him hit. Don't get too technical in what you're doing. But whatever you do with them, have fun. Because as a parent, the time you have to work with your child is limited. There's only so much time you have, and you want to spend it having fun. Yeah, you can teach them a little bit, but know where to draw that line and stop. If you see frustration, stop and just get back to having fun. Because at the end of the day, that's really all baseball is for you, is a chance to be with your kid.
You remember Les Miller Sr.?
I do.
He told me years ago, we were talking about his son, Billy, and what you just said, Steve, is exactly what Les Miller said. He said when his son, Billy, wanted to become a switch hitter, he said, that's fine. He says, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw it to you. And he said, the minute I see you frustrated, we're done for that day. Okay? As long as you're having fun. But once you start getting frustrated, and you're going to be frustrated when you try to go from a right-hand hitter to a left-hand hitter and so forth. And it worked. It worked
very, very well for him.
Yeah. Billy had a good year. I think Billy, he did something not many guys do. He won a batting championship.
Yep. Pretty special player.
And a special guy too.
Yeah. And
his father's gone, but what a wonderful, kind human being. Okay, now I'm going to brag on you now. Okay, I'm going to read it. I can't believe this, that you've done all these things, but you have. You're in the Amateur Baseball Hall of Fame. You got the Bob Bragg Award. Tell me about the Bob Bragg Award. What is that? That's a big name award, Steve.
The Bob Bragg Award is something the Amateur Baseball Hall of Fame presents to a successful and a successful high school coach that coaches not only good baseball but other life lessons. And I was honored to get that award because obviously you already checked into that. You know who some of the other guys are that received it. And there's some pretty special guys there. So the award means a lot to me, and I'm very grateful for receiving that award.
You also got the Missouri High School Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame.
Right.
And you're in the Amateur Baseball Hall of Fame. Lifetime Achievement Award. Tell me about that one. The St. Louis umpire. So I never got that.
Well,
I got the lifetime goodbye. That's okay.
That was a great award, and I was really honored to get that. That's just, I've been blessed over the years to have a wonderful relationship with so many of the umpires. And when I coached, I always tried to remember little things when I dealt with an umpire on how to treat them, how they wanted to be treated, to be very respectful. I wanted my kids to be respectful. I mean, I let my kids talk to the umpires. I never told my kids they couldn't talk to an umpire. I just said, we're going to talk the right way. And I always think the umpires appreciated how we did things like that. And they also appreciated in the early days that we paid cash at the plate. That was a big thing.
That's why we like Legion baseball. You know?
Yeah, but the umpires, I was very grateful for the umpires for receiving that award, and it meant a lot to me.
Let's mention a few of the old time umpires, Steve.
Sure.
The guys, go ahead. Buddy Miller,
Bob Sharp, Ray Perez,
John Coburn. He gave us all the games.
John Coburn, Urban and Pete Leineke.
Pete Leineke, I'm going to tell you a great story.
Go.
So I'm just starting to umpire. I might be in my second year. I've got a guy, and Pete umpired a lot of games when I was in high school. So, you know, remember Pete used to stutter.
Yeah.
So I'm behind the plate, and I've got a balloon. See, I didn't know what to buy, so I'm wearing one of those American League balloons back there, and I was a pitcher, so everything was a strike. So about the third inning, Pete walked down. He says, "Ronnie, you know what? If the pitches you're calling strikes now, if I called them in high school, you'd be in the big leagues already." He says, "You got to bring it up a little." Honest to goodness, and Ivan, his brother,
Two great guys.
Oh,
Two great guys.
you can't make it up. And Ray Maneri, I love Ray Maneri. And Dave Phillips asked me to come down to the Busch Stadium when they had the strike. And the strike was over, so Major League Baseball told all the umpires, you're going to have to umpire a couple games before the regular season. So Kansas City came here, and Phillips called me. He said, "Would you want to work the game with me?" I said, "Hell yeah, I'll come down there. I'll be a big shot, you know." So and I said, "Dave, do you think if we brought a third guy down there, it would be okay?" He said, "Well, I don't see why not." I said, "I want to get Ray Maneri down there. It'd be the thing of his life."
Yeah.
So we go down to the game, and we're at home plate, and Whitey Herzog comes out, and Jim Fry was a manager of Kansas City, and Whitey comes out, and he looks around, he says, "I only thought we were going to have two guys here." You know, he had an envelope. He wasn't going to give Phillips any money, but he had an envelope for me with $50. And he said, "Mr. Maneri," he says, "I'll have $50 back for you in a few minutes." Envelope. And Ray Maneri umpired the game. I had one call in the game, Earl. It was a bang play. Willie Wilson, remember him? He guy was like about the fastest guy in America. And Ozzie makes a great stop and a throw, but this guy's safe. I mean, there's no way he could be out. Well, he was out. He was out, and Hernandez, he looked at me like, "Who are you?" I had one call that night. My dad, God bless him, he came down and watched. And there are only about 20,000 people there in this game, and all I could hear is, "You're worse. You're worse than you are in basketball." Screaming. Oh, what a great experience!
Gosh, that's one of the reasons I enjoyed basketball over football and baseball, was that after I missed a call in basketball, I knew that I was going to have 7 or 8 more. If I missed one in baseball or football, it was going to be a long day.
Oh yeah, you know who was the best? Honestly, I'm going to just tell you this right now, and you know him well. He was the best base umpire I ever saw, amateur. He just had impeccable judgment. Schumer,
very good umpire. Very good umpire. And Eddie not only had good judgment, but he had that inner belief that his confidence level was always very high.
Oh, Eddie always thought he was a little better than he was.
But that was good for an official. Sometimes
Absolutely.
you need that.
Yeah, we had some really good guys that we started with.
Oh, we did.
Why? Birchfield.
Paul Birchfield, another
Schumer,
Bart.
Westbrooks.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you a guy that was I thought was a good official that went under the radar was John Rappy. You know, we did the Division II National Championship, and really a large part of that was John Rappy. He was our referee. He played football at McKinley, went to Murray State, but was a wonderful referee in the MIAA for football, John Rappy.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Earl, he refereed. He was a young guy, married, he had a whole bunch of kids fast. Nicola did. So I felt bad for him. So I used to hire him to come over and work our freshman football games at Ladue. Usually he could pick up $35. So we've got a real good team, Earl. And there's a long run. Our kid breaks loose. I mean, he's gone, and he finally gets tackled, and the ball kind of comes loose. And the Coleret is the referee. He's about 35 yards behind. You know how they are. And so this guy I don't know who the other referee was. I don't even remember him, but he's not making a call. He's just standing there. I saw our kid has the football. The Coleret comes down. He gives it to the other team from 35 yards. I chased him off the field to the point.
Don't you like how they go from coach mode to referee mode? I see referees.
Well, we're in coach mode now.
No, but I'm saying, yeah, exactly. It's funny when I see referees who become parents at their kids' games, and it's like it's hilarious. I won't name names, but it's hilarious to watch them when they go in parent mode or when they're in coach mode. Then they have to be in referee mode. It is.
My coaches are yelling at me.
It's funny to watch.
Where'd you get that guy from?
No, my coaches.
Exactly.
I'm chasing him out to the parking lot, and my coach was saying, "That's your friend."
Yes.
Not right now.
No.
Boy, we had some fun.
We had fun.
Oh,
And I wish.
go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say, I wish that today more people had fun in sport, from parents to coaches, and it's just the game is designed to really teach kids life lessons, and I think sometimes we get way too involved in metrics and trying to get the kid to the next level, and we're missing the point. It should be fun wherever you're at playing the game.
You know, Earl, in the old days, we're talking old days. So in football, if you refereed a high school football game in those days, all the guys who helped the young guys are from South St. Louis. So there was a place called the Haven Club. So, you know, if you wanted to be part of the gang, you had to go to the Haven Club. So I live out here, and I go to the Haven Club, and you sit down there, and everybody's had a game that night. There's 8 or 9 referees. Every referee in there had the best game. Oh, we were impeccable tonight. Oh, our crew, we made and you're sitting there thinking, wow. What? Steve, you know what I'm talking about.
I do. And by the way, the Haven is still open.
Is it?
Alive and well in South City. Yeah.
No,
Yep.
You go in there?
I've had some good meals at the Haven. Yeah.
Some good meals.
That's right.
Let me ask both of you guys. Now, I know in football, because I know guys for many years, recent years, there's been a big referee shortage, because I know they've had to move games to Thursday morning. Is that still the case in football? Now, is it like that in basketball and baseball? I know we're trying to get new people in all the time. I know my man Ryan here has worked some youth basketball games as well. So is that still a thing?
I think so. And one of my biggest complaints, and I still go, it's about over for me, but I went to a whole bunch of basketball and baseball and football games with my grandsons. And here's the problem. There's got to be a certain time where whoever's doing the assigning, you have to say, look, enough is enough is enough. The guy's been out here. He's 69, 70 years old. Enough. There's those young kids who are not getting an opportunity because the old guys just hang on and on. And here's what I've seen. I see a lot of young kids get into officiating, and they referee, like we all started, Steve. You know, you get your freshman games and your sophomore games, and of course they'll give you some girls' games and this is basketball and so forth. And all of a sudden, it doesn't change.
Yeah.
And you know in your own mind, you're better than those 3 guys that you saw working the varsity game tonight. But the 3 guys who are working the varsity game have been around forever. And I guess it's hard if guys are pretty well established for the guy who's doing the assigning to tell them, move on.
I think that's a problem. But I also think that today kids don't want to go out there and officiate because the parents and the coaches, at sometimes they're crazy. And
Sometimes,
and Ron, you told a story about the experience at Cooperstown. I want you to relay this story to the audience in just a second. But if we had organizations that would do that, that gives the kid a chance to develop his skills, and it sets the expectations. And if you don't mind, share that with the audience.
I'll be glad to. See, well, my grandson, I helped coach his baseball team, and Cooperstown has an unbelievable 12 and under. That's it. They only take 12 and under teams, and they bring in about 100 teams a week. And when you get there, they get the coaches together, and they will say, like, Earl, let's just say, Earl, you're one of the coaches. Mr. Austin, I want you to understand what our rules are here. If you get ejected or any of your coaches get ejected from a game, you will leave the grounds. You will not be allowed back on the grounds tomorrow for the next game. You're done. Also, sir, if you have any younger kids that you're thinking of bringing here when they're 12 and under, you're not allowed. You're barred from Cooperstown. So just don't get ejected.
Pretty good advice. Make it pretty simple too.
Yeah, and the way the figures are, fields are configured there, it's amazing. Everything is out in right field and left field. There's nothing around home plate or close to the bases. So that's where all the spectators sit. So if you decide to say something as a spectator, so I'll relay a story to you. It's one of the biggest money makers in America. I can't even imagine. But they have a Zamboni machine there because they're going to get those. They're going to get all those games played because people are paying a lot of money. So our team has a game and it's rained all day and day. And finally, we're going to play like at 11:30 that night. So all the mothers go, oh, what are we going to do? I mean, everybody will be hungry and the concession stands will be closed. No, they're going to be open. The game ended at 1 o'clock. We got hot dogs. We got anything we wanted.
Everybody's making that money.
Oh, boy. So, Nick.
Yes, sir.
What's going on now after today? I mean, for you, your new organization is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'll do some work with Coach Baseball, right? We'll kind of work on trying to work through some arrangements with some of these organizations, which is great. I'll go back and I'll do some hitting. I do a lot of private hitting instruction. And then I'm going to go ahead I coach my grandson's team like you did. I have a little 11-year-old team and they're a bunch of nice kids. And then we also started my other grandson who's 6. And we have a little hour practice tonight with them. So I'll be working with those guys as well.
It's phenomenal. I'm telling you that to me, when I coached a freshman football team over at Ladue, that was one of the greatest experiences in my entire life, 30 years. But when I coached my grandson's football at Clayton, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in his baseball, and then I got another one over at Parkway Central, enjoy every minute of it, Steve, because guess what? It goes fast.
It does. Does. I feel really, I've got some great I've got 10 grandchildren and I get a chance to work with a couple of them through baseball. My wife does volleyball and she's worked with some of them. And now my oldest grandchild is now the head volleyball coach at St. Vincent in Perryville. And I went down to watch her coach. She's 20. And I went down to watch her coach the other day and she did a really nice job and I'm really proud of her.
Well, she had some good teaching. Oh yeah.
My wife is a wonderful volleyball coach. And I got to say this before we end this, that, you know, when I was gone doing all that officiating, you know, the whole reason my family kind of worked through all the issues that families work through is because of my wife. And I think a lot of guys can also relate to that. And sometimes we all forget what really happens at home. And, you know, so when you go home today, make sure you thank your wife and for all the time she took care of the kids while we were all doing what we needed to do.
Absolutely. And listen, I remember the conversation you and I had.
Yep.
And you made a tremendous decision. You want to tell them about it or no?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I was at a point in my career where I wasn't all that happy with where the direction of it. I was working a lot of Division II games and it got to the point where I either going to keep officiating and not be married or was going to stop officiating that level and stay married. And I decided to stay married.
And I think that was a great decision.
That's a great decision. Yeah. Once again, Steve, really appreciate you joining us today.
It was a pleasure.
Congratulations on a great career.
Oh, thank you very much.
Once again, big time guest for the easy second hour as well. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody, the Lutheran North football team, and Steve Nicola. Of course, the Earl Austin Experience is brought to you by Fast Track Auto Transport St. Louis. St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. That's 636-677-9004. Stay tuned for Illinois football, they visit the Purdue Boilermakers on the Lou Information Station or live on demand at louinfo.com. We'll see you next weekend.
In your city with Kelly and Gordon.